How would you grade Argentina out of 10 for their performances in 2024? Where do you think this squad is at? What optimism should there be for 2025? I'm going to cover all of that on this video. And in fact, I'm going to be doing this for every single one of the big rugby nations around the globe. And I'm going through in alphabetical order. So it starts with Los Pumas. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Make sure you get stuck in the comments down below. Please give the video a thumbs up and help me spread the word. So Argentina under Felipe Contepomi, who took over as the head coach after the Rugby World Cup. And this is his first full year at the helm. Where do you assess and how do you assess Argentina? Well, let's have a look first at the resultados, how they got on this year. And mixed, I think it's fair to say, some massive highs and some really disappointing lows. And when you look at each of those blocks of games, whether it was France visiting in July, or whether it was the Rugby Championship performances through August and September, or the recent November tests, there's real high points, and then there's subpar performances that Argentina, if they're going to really push on and be more so up there with the biggest teams like South Africa, New Zealand, Ireland, they've got to start winning, turning a couple of these defeats into wins, or at least being competitive week to week. And part of that is the squad, which I'll come on to in a minute. But when France visited, they lost that first test match against, well, it was not even a French B team, it was a French C team, which is massively disappointing. And also a warning shot to New Zealand. I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, France are disrespecting New Zealand by not sending a team, despite the fact the top 14 is still going on when they're meant to be travelling there, so France can't send their first choice team. But anyway, that aside, don't underestimate France's young guns. They've got some really good players. And they handily beat Argentina in that first match, which was a poor start to Felipe Contepomi's reign. It got better. They got the win the following week, put Uruguay to the sword. Really good win to start the Rugby Championship against a slightly undercooked New Zealand. Scott Robertson still kind of working out his squad and stuff. And yeah, brilliant win away in New Zealand. Then got beaten handily the following week. And then they lost to Australia. That'll be one of the disappointing results when Argentina look back on their year. It's that game against Australia in poor conditions, which they did not manage very well. And they could have got a bit of momentum by that point. They did bounce back the following week and beat Australia. And then they beat South Africa. Marnie Le Bocq missing that last-minute kick. That was a famous victory. And the Rugby Championship is Argentina's best ever. The only year that they've beaten New Zealand, South Africa and Australia in the same campaign. But then they got handily beaten at Montbella. And it's just that week-to-week, back-to-back. Can they shake off the travel? But then again, South Africa took a weaker squad to Argentina and had their big guns waiting for them in Montbella. Argentina just don't have the depth of squad to be able to do that, and that is, I guess, one of the areas they need to work on or develop if they're going to really push on and be amongst those big boys. As for the November series, good win against Italy. The Ireland match is the one that they'll feel like they could and maybe should have got themselves a win, and that would have been a really that would have changed the complexion of the year as it is. They finished, played 12, won 6, lost 6. 50% sounds bad, but they are playing against, in the Rugby Championship, they're playing 4 games against South Africa and New Zealand. They played against Ireland, they played against France. They've had some really tough games in 2024. Like I say, that loss against Australia, the first loss against France. Win those and it changes the complexion of their year quite a lot. As for the squad, I've already talked about the lack of depth. They had to take the same guys basically to most games. Felipe Contepomi, particularly in some positions, cannot rotate to the degree that other squads are able to, and that's a massive limitation for Argentina. But there were some real positives for them this year, particularly the emergence of Thomas Albanese, who's taken over from Santi Carreras as the starting 10. Santi Carreras always seemed like a guy that could win a game on his own, and then he'll have 3 average performances, and then he'll be world-class again. Thomas Albanese is the steady, metronomic 10 that they needed, and he has taken that jersey, made it his own, and he's a young guy, and he could be at the helm in the 10 jersey for a while yet. And with players outside, like Chocobares and Malia and, well, Bautista Delgui and Iskro really had a good year in 2024. But the man in the middle there, probably the brightest spark, along with Thomas Albanese, Joaquin Oviedo. You looked at the Argentina back row and you think, well, Juan Martín González is amazing. He's going to be around for a while. But Kremer and Matera have been around for a while. And do Argentina have the players to replace them? Well, in this guy, only 23 years of age, yes, they do. He has been awesome in 2024. When you add to that the fact they have got a couple of players in the back line who are approaching World 15 levels. Both Malia and Chocobaras would be in the conversation for a World 15. And they have stardust in that back line. Can they get enough ball and enough quality ball, and can they stem the tide when other teams get on top? That's the big question for Argentina. They've got no problem scoring if they can get good ball. The issues for them looking forward, the sort of overall picture when you look at Argentina, the work-ons that they've got, trabajos, work-ons, I believe that is translation for, apologies if you're Spanish and that's not right, props. Yes, they have got good props. Thomas Gajo is great. Joel Sclavi is a big cube of a man, and they've Gomez Cadella. They've got these kind of cube men, but they're hot and cold, and there isn't enough of them. And maybe the top end quality is not quite at the level it needs to be. It used to be the case that Argentina's scrum was fearsome. It's not got the same bite. Locks is an issue. Now Rubiolo's had a good year, rattling cages and whacking people. He's a real physical force. Molina, it's not elite quality in the locks. So they need to, their front five is the area that they need to get better. And if they can get a really good front five, Argentina are in business. And of course, the word that has dogged Argentina forever, consistency. Overall, I give Felipe Contepomi a 7.5 out of 10. Now that seems strange because they only got a 50% win record, but I do think it is important to point out. They played 2 games against New Zealand, 2 against South Africa, France and Ireland away. And a couple of the defeats, the one against France, the one against Australia, would have completely changed the complexion. I think they finished 4th in the Rugby World Cup, another semi-final for them. Felipe Contepomi's taken over, and he is evolving the way that they play, and they play some scintillating rugby, and they play into their strengths, which is their guys out wide, and they've got some unreal firepower. I know Contepomi's working on it. Can he get the front five that he needs? That is going to be the bridge that they need to cross to have another big year in 2025. That remains to be seen. Be an interesting one. Obviously, with it being a British and Irish Lions year, I'm not quite sure. Argentina, I guess, aren't going to have a summer tour to speak of. So it's going to be the performance for them, the success or failure is going to be judged on the Rugby Championship and their trip to Europe for the November tests. We will see. Let me know what you think. I've gone for 7.5 out of 10 for Argentina. Is that too generous? Bearing in mind they lost 6 games and won 6 games, or is that fair enough? What do you reckon for them in 2025? Next on the list, obviously, alphabetical order, Australia. So I will see you on the next one.